Hey, Brandon.
Yep. Yes.
I think we've been doing this show for a little bit, and we've been getting a little close. And I was thinking maybe, maybe I should just go for it.
Yeah. Go for what?
Oh, yeah. Baby. During that intro, Brandon turned me down harder than the Chargers at the 1 yard line.
Ooh!
You see that setup? That was a cold open into an intro. That's it, baby. Wow. We always transition. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. We made it.
Friday.
It's time for another edition of the Grossi Perna Show, otherwise known as the street drug GPS.
Yeah. Come on, kids, get high with GPS.
That's it, baby. That's it. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. We're here to break down last night's insane game in which the Chargers were like, let's try math. Oops. And then it failed, which just begs to point out the obvious. Math is dumb and you'll never need it.
Never need math. You'll never need it.
Because that's why you have a calculator on your phone. So, nailed it. That's what they should have done. The Charger, Justin Herbert, should have pulled out his phone and he should have done some calculations on there, and then they wouldn't have lost. So
sorry, Brandon. Math doesn't check out. We're going to kick a field goal for points today.
We're going to get 12 points instead. That's what we're going to get. But we'll break that down. We'll break down week 15, all the games. We got Saturday football tomorrow. We got lots of things. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, the Beanie Boys
Boys are back. The Beanie Boys are back.
Brandon Perna, you know what else is back sponsoring this show?
Oh, DraftKings Sportsbook.
I'm going to get the legal disclaimer. That's my favorite part.
Yeah. Look at that. Nice legal disclaimer. Says stuff that we have to show you, or else Roger Goodell will hunt us down.
I hope so.
But he will not reschedule his plans to hunt us down. God forbid.
I'm covered in Vaseline, so good luck catching me.
Yeah, catch me if you can, Mr. Goodell. Use code GPS when you sign up over at DraftKings. We got a link in the description. If you're looking to do some sports betting, this is the only place on earth you can do it. Now, I saw somebody on Twitter who said, I'm just waiting for DraftKings to be legal in my state so I can use your code. I believe they said they live in Ohio. So I appreciate the patience.
That's it.
And you're like, as soon as I can bet on these sports, I'm using code GPS.
That's it.
That makes me smile. Right now, DraftKings is going to give you new customers up to $1,000 deposit bonus up to when you sign up. Also, you can turn $1 into $100 in free bets by simply betting on any team to score this weekend. If they score, you score $100 in free bets. And the DraftKings, they are an official sports betting partner of the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
So
I don't know if I'd bet the Browns to score a point, honestly, at this point. I don't even know if you do that.
Yeah, I mean, they got Nick Mullins probably starting this week, assuming he stays healthy. Yeah. If something happens to Nick Mullins in the game, who is the Browns quarterback? It could be Jarvis Landry. I don't know. I think the under for the Browns point total might be something you should look at this weekend as well. If you do, GPS, link in the description.
Can we talk about if the Raiders lose that football game? Do they automatically just plummet to the bottom of the power rankings? They surpass the Lions, they surpass the Jets, the Giants, the Texans, the Jaguars. They just plummet into the earth.
Yeah, and I think it's weird because so Chiefs Chargers last night. Broncos fans actually needed the Chargers to lose to help them a little bit, and that happens. But Raiders-Browns, now the Raiders are a game back, but the Browns are tied with the Broncos for that final spot. So do we Broncos fans actually need the Raiders to win? Does a Raiders win help? Assuming the Broncos win and beat the Bengals.
That sounds like a problem for math. And
yes.
Maybe that's
what did the analytics say?
That's it.
The analytics say start watching basketball because this is complicated. I want the analytic that just says this is getting too hard. Do something else.
Head coach was 14.5. Oh, I did not see that.
Oh, wow. There was a bet for him to last 14 and a half games.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Kung Fu, 100% math. Not even once. Not even once. You think they say that about meth, but nope, they're talking about math. Let's talk about some math, and let's talk about the Chargers, because here's the thing. That game was insane. That game, it was funny. In my chat, they're like, this is the greatest game of the season, and some people are like, this is the worst game of the season because of how
it was all over the place.
It was all over the place. And I thought it was a fun game because that game, the following happened. One, both teams didn't want to win for a time. Two, the Chargers had multiple goal line opportunities to punch it in. They didn't. The opening drive, there's a return kickoff that goes inside the 30-yard line of the Chiefs. They run it twice with Eckler. They get on down inside the 10, and then they're like, you know what? Let's not run it with Austin Eckler. And they throw it 4 times in a row, and they don't convert.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about the Chargers this season and how aggressive they have been on 4th down. They're basically playing Madden out there, and they're like, we don't believe in punting the ball or kicking field goals. And last night, it shot them in the butt. It shot them in the tuchus because they left points on the board. They could have been up 12 points there, and that would have been a complete and total difference maker. And I understand the aggression because if they convert on even half of those, we're not having this conversation today. We're not having it. But, I mean, that's the head coach, right? You live and die by that. I think the play calling was off. On top of that, the decisions, I think that there's a balance where you can be conservative and go for points, and kind of just play the averages that way. And then there's the other one where it's like, all right, let's split it in half. Let's make it situational. Because it's like, you know what? Let's get the points immediately on 2 of those, and then if we get into another time, we'll go for it. I don't know. Perna, what did you think about the aggression that was seen last night?
It was. It reminded me. Somebody was it Nader? Nader, you brought up a good point. It reminded me of the way the Broncos failed against the Chiefs. It is 2 things that you were spot on in what you said, Tom. It's not just like the decision, the analytics to go for it on 4th down. It's the play calling. So the analytics can tell you to go for it on 4th, but the analytics aren't necessarily factoring in what plays you just ran and were or were not successful with and what you should do next. I'm sure there's an analytic for telling you what kind of play you should do next.
Sure.
But that is a situational read you need to make as a head coach. And I don't mind going for the very first 4th down, set a tone for the game. But Staley reminded me of an aggressive card player who had a bad hand and is just trying to make up for his losses with the next 4th down calls. And I think in a divisional game where it's close, where points matter, that second time around, they should have kicked the field goal. And then the 3rd time, they definitely should have taken the field goal because they would have won the game. It wouldn't have gone into overtime. And things that analytics don't factor are injuries. So even on that first series, the 4th down play is when Donald Parham got hurt. I'm not saying he got hurt because of analytics. I'm saying that may have affected the rest of the game. And then Derwin James gets hurt later in the game, as Chargers fans really wanted to point out to me when I said the Chargers stopped covering and tackling Travis Kelce. But Derwin James wasn't in there. So who cares? You still got to tackle and cover the guy.
If Derwin James not there, we don't have to tackle.
Yeah. And the thing, the running the football, the Chargers were doing it well.
Yes.
And I think it was the third fourth down series where they got stopped in the red zone. They had a 4th and 1, which they went for. They ran it and they picked it up. The next play, they run it again and they pick up 7 or 8 yards. And then they just start throwing. It's like, and they were a few yards away from the end zone. It's like, why are you not running immediately after running effectively again? And that's exactly what killed the Broncos' 20-play drive that resulted in 0 points against the Chiefs. They stopped running. And Pat Shurmur after said, sometimes I like to, when I think the defense thinks we're going to run it, I want to throw it. And when they think we're going to throw it, I want to run it. Just do what's working in that situation.
Yeah. Well, I think there's nuance to it because now people are taking this argument and it's being like, well, it's analytics or it's nothing. And I'm like, no, what I'm saying is like the head coach is supposed to find that balance, right? Yeah. Like Matt LaFleur, look at all the crap he got in the NFC Championship game going for the field goal instead of the touchdown on 4th down, right? Like there is a time now he's being a little bit more aggressive. I just think that there are times to be aggressive and there's times not to be. And I think in situations, because it is situational football, sometimes you just get the points and you walk away with the points. And I mean, the thing is, like the Chargers, Mike Williams, he came back, but he got injured in that game on that first series. Parham got injured, which was a horrifying injury. Good God, that was horrific. We'll talk about that in a hot second. Keenan Allen got hurt for like a couple plays. Like he was out because I think he had a leg injury. And then Derwin James. And it was a weird football game because for the Chiefs, you saw the flashes of the old offense and you're like, oh, it's Patrick Mahomes avoiding a sack. Oh, he's going to get sacked. Nope. Oh, someone's wide open over the middle again. And it's most likely Travis Kelce. And yeah, I think the Chiefs kind of regained a little bit of that magic last night and showed off, hey, they could still be a very dangerous team. But
they should have lost by a lot of points.
They should have lost by a bunch.
But credit their defense for stopping the Chargers inside the 10 or 5 yard line 3 times. Analytics cannot account for Dan Sorensen, who knocked down one of Herbert's pass attempts on 4th down, a solid play. And it's knowing what information the analytics are providing you. And then Brandon Staley, first-year head coach, he's figuring this out as he goes along. He's got a quarterback who can make any throw. I know you're tempted to do it. Yep. But the red zone also, your probability of success in the red zone decreases because the field shortened. Things you were doing between the 20s don't work. And the Chiefs defense over the last, month and a half started playing a lot better. And, Mahomes wasn't particularly great until clutch time. And, then the Chiefs ran away with it because Travis Kelce finished the night with 191 yards and 2 TDs, including the walk-off touchdown where I don't even think he thought he was going to get to the end zone, and he made his way there.
That looked like a Packers overtime game, against the Cardinals. That looked or the Seahawks, in which they just ran down the field. And I'm like, oh, he's just going to walk in. Because I feel like the players on the Chargers defense just gave up midway. They're like, we're not stopping them. It's done there. But listen, I'm going to quote a very intelligent coach saying, analytics are for nerds. Do you know who said that? Brandon Perna? Do you know who said that?
No.
Packers head coach Matt LaFleur.
Wow.
True story in a press conference this year. So
wow, I forgot that already. Yeah, it's a tool. It's not the end all. It's not the only answer. It
shouldn't be a crutch.
One thing to help you make decisions. Yeah. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, the Chiefs brought out a secret weapon too.
Hook?
Melvin Ingram for the coin toss. No analytics could predict him getting that call right. And boy, was that an important heads or tails call because Chargers didn't even get a chance. Here's a question for you, Tom.
What's up?
A lot of people after, the Chiefs score the touchdown, win that game, a lot of people in these types of situations like to bring up that they want the overtime rules adjusted again so that no matter what happens, each team gets a chance, even if it is a touchdown. I don't think so. No. I like sudden death, honestly, because both teams usually have the chance to win through a 3.5-hour football game. It is 60 minutes of play. But how do you feel about overtime? Are you fine with it?
So as someone who has been on the wrong end of many overtime games, especially in the playoffs, I like this new rule. Like, I actually like the way that it currently is, because if you get rid of the way that it works now, and you say basically both teams get the ball, like they get to touch the ball, you're basically, even though we've already admitted it, this is like the final nail in the coffin for defenses, in my opinion, because what you're basically saying is, even though it is an offensive league, even though it is a pass heavy league, defenses like still play a part in this game. And I think your defense, because it's part of the team, should be able to make a stop or not. And if they can't, they lose. I think that making it a touchdown is much better than it was a field goal, because I feel like, I don't want to say a field goal is too easy. I just feel like it's significantly harder to get a touchdoam, and like, it gives an opportunity for the other team to get the football. But yeah, no, I like the way that it currently stands. I am not for like changing it so both offenses get it, because then you're basically just like, I just want to see both offenses.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just completely invalidates like what you're doing on defense. And
and for the Chargers, that was nothing at the end of the game. They were doing nothing on defense. I mean, for the Chiefs to tie that game, I think it took them like 30 seconds to score. It was just like,
it was done real quick.
Good God. And then the Chargers couldn't get in range. They had to punt, and then there just wasn't enough time for the Chiefs to do something. You know what I noticed last night? And I've noticed this before, and it's something that bothers me about Patrick Mahomes. And it's not a knock on him. I think he's a great football player. I'm not trying to take away any credit from Patrick Mahomes, but there's a big flaw in his game. And it's anytime he's running back to the huddle or jogging down the field after a completion, he looks weird. He is maybe the most awkward jogging quarterback I've ever seen in my life. He does, like, it's like he's so athletic, but he failed to learn how to jog. And I was like watching him last night, and it was genuinely annoying me. I'm like, stop jogging like that, Pat. Stop it. It looks weird. And I don't know. If I could fix part of his game, we would Pat and I, if I was his QB coach, we'd be doing jogging drills at practice.
Oh yeah,
jogging drills.
I want to talk about that injury real quick, because so I was streaming that game, and when he got hit and immediately went into fencing, he was out, and I was like, oh, that looks really bad. And because originally you see it did, like, the hit or like the fall did not look bad at all.
Yeah.
But then they slowed it down, and he smacked his head like against the turf. And a lot of people started criticizing Fox, because immediately as that happened, you see the camera like run over and literally zoom in on his face. And like, I think it just goes back to, I mean, this as well. Like, your videos have done well, like, right, when it's like, hey, like, there's an injury, somebody is like snapping an ankle or what have you, and like there's kind of this morbid curiosity that people like want to see like a significant injury and stuff. But I mean, it just felt gross like last night. Like, it's not like it's not like, okay, someone's injured and they're walking off and they're fine. Like this, like there was a significant issue last night, and they're like zooming in and they're focusing on it, and I don't know, like it just felt wrong. Like I think like there's teammates surrounding the people and trying to block the cameras a bit, and I know some players have spoken out against it. It just I don't know, it felt gross last night.
It's a tough situation, I think. And people criticize like Joe Buck as well, and I get, like, if you're a cameraman on the sideline, your job's to go to whatever happened. And there's probably a chance, like, as the cameraman's going up there, there's a chance, I don't know, that he doesn't know, what happened. He doesn't know that the player's necessarily knocked out yet. But there's a director of the show, right? In a booth or a van or a studio thing somewhere at the stadium. They've got a ton of different shots coming in. They pick the shots. They tell what shot to go to for the broadcast, right? It's a complicated job. And I think the person who decided to go to that shot made a mistake. But it's happening very fast before you know what happens. And maybe they held on to that shot for a little bit too long. It's definitely like a conversation you got to have as a network. Like we shouldn't do this. This was a mistake on our part. And then later in the broadcast, they were trying to update Donald Parham and nobody had an update on him. And Joe Buck got criticized for saying, like, we're not going to speculate on an injury. And then he brought up it being like kind of cold and saying like, hopefully, maybe that's why his arms were shaking. And I get why people are criticizing that because it seems like a silly thing to say, but I think he's trying to paint a best case scenario picture of like trying to explain maybe why his arms were seizing up like that. And it was wrong. But I'm not sure, like, I'm not going to fault them too much for trying to believe that the worst didn't just happen, even though we know it can. And I rewatched that play several times. And a big thing in the NFL, right, is player safety. And they've done a lot of things to try to mitigate head injuries. But one of the biggest causes of head injuries is the ground. Like, that's, I believe, a statistical fact. The one time I had a concussion playing football, the ground is what caused my severe concussion.
Stupid ground.
And Parham wasn't hit, wasn't a dirty hit. He was just diving to make a play for you would not guess that this is the play that results in an injury as serious as it was. And he just landed kind of weird and his head hit the turf and he had to be taken to the hospital to be evaluated for brain injury, for spine injury. The most recent update is he's in stable condition and that's kind of all we're getting. So it's pretty significant. I saw there are some like doctors who try and diagnose these things like through Twitter and somebody called it like an acute concussion, which is what will cause parts of your body to like freeze up like that. So it's a bad situation. The NFL can probably do a little bit better job of not highlighting it during the broadcast. And I think over the years, they've learned to not I think after the Dak leg injury, which they showed several times during the broadcast, they have made it like a conscious effort to not show leg snapping as much.
I don't know, dude. They and I'm not saying that game they did it a lot, but dude, they did it in like packages afterwards. Like they did it when
once they know the guy's okay, that we got to make our money on that.
The following year, I think when the first game Dak is back, they're just like, a year ago, one man's ankle snapped in half. And like JR's voice, snapped in half. Like they're running that entire thing. But I think that like you have to make sure that they're okay first. Like as soon as if we're not blaming the cameraman, which I'm not saying he's like completely at fault, like running over, seeing that he's not okay. All right, then we don't go near it. Like I don't think you need to see him on a stretcher with his arm seizing. Like I don't think, I just think it's gratuitous. It's just unnecessary. It's a violent sport. Like listen, we are literally watching grown men smash each other in the head with helmets and stuff. So yeah. I think
it's always weird. The weirdest thing to me, I know when a player gives a thumbs up or something, the crowd cheers, but the crowd cheers just when the players like last night, the crowd cheered when Parham was taken off on the stretcher. He wasn't given a thumbs up. He was not indicating he's okay. And I know it's like a reaction to you want to hope he's okay, but the cheering when there's a good chance he's not okay in that moment is weird to me. And I've seen it a handful of times in football games. It's I know you're trying to show your encouragement and there's not a better way to do it. I'm not saying there's a different way to do it, but it's just it just puts things in perspective when you're watching. A bad thing can happen at any time. And even the leg injuries, those compound fractures.
Oh yeah.
We learned how bad it was with Alex Smith. Even Dak's injury required an extra surgery that we didn't know about in the offseason. And oh man, there's a tight end who broke his leg in the end zone. he nearly had to have his leg amputated. So it's like, you just don't know. And it's the best thing you can do is reserve your predictions, your projections, and just wish the player be well until you learn more about the situation. Even Alex Smith, like, we thought he was okay after that, but that process took months and he nearly died. So
exactly. They're saying Miller.
Yeah,
Miller's
Zach
the guy.
Miller. Zach Miller had horrible leg injury and nearly had to have his leg amputated. So yeah, I'll say Bears tight end, right? Zach Miller.
Yes. Yeah. But last night's game, crazy. We got some Deshaun Watson news, which I didn't even hear about this until you mentioned it, Perna.
Yeah, it's even the news itself was like, this kind of got buried last night because we've had all the COVID stuff happening with the NFL teams. The game was crazy. You had the Donald Parham injury, but Deshaun Watson, according to the Houston Chronicle, according to me reading Pro Football Talk, doing the bullet points of the Houston Chronicle, they're saying that the grand jury's work could be concluded in January. So we might have a result of what they are determining to do with Deshaun Watson in January. And based last night or this week, they discovered that warrants were filed for Deshaun Watson's social media accounts. So they're saying they didn't even know how this news came out because the warrants were filed through the police officer's name. Deshaun Watson's name wasn't mentioned in it, but they wanted to investigate his social media, obviously to see communication with the different masseuses. And authorities are considering charges of indecent assault, which is just a misdemeanor. And so really what it's going to come down to is whether or not this is a misdemeanor charge filed against Watson or a felony charge. Because if it's a felony, then Watson, I think, will be put on the commissioner's reserve list. Paid leave. But there's a chance, he won't be back in the NFL if that happens. Or just depends on how the case plays out. But misdemeanor is it's similar to what happened with Ben Roethlisberger. Could be a 6 to 8 game suspension, and there could be a plea deal because of it, and because of the different, weight that a misdemeanor carries versus a felony. So Watson's team, ideally hoping, worst case scenario for them is it's misdemeanor charges. They obviously don't want any charges pressed against him, but that's kind of what we're waiting for, and that's actual news. And it's like the first time we've gotten information about when this might wrap up. So I figured we should talk about it today because it's been such a big story. And I saw just a blip on it last night, and then I was like, oh yeah, I should look into that. I was like, oh, there's actually kind of a lot here. So I figured we would, so Law and Order GPS unit.
So there you go. Boom, boom. Yeah, I mean, like, I think at the end of the day, like, it means that something could get wrapped up, like, by the end of the season. So then maybe you're looking at draft if Deshaun Watson is going to get traded, if there is going to be any development with that. But it also depends on the charges that are going to be there. So,
So, and like, if it's a misdemeanor, it's a plea, and that there's going to be a short suspension, then you will see Watson probably dealt this offseason. He will become part of the quarterback trade scenarios, or, and that's going to be Jimmy G. Could be Watson, could be Russell Wilson, could be Aaron Rodgers, could be Gardner Minshew in there. Like,
it could be an insane quarterback free agency.
Or it could be none of them. Rodgers works out a 5-year deal with the Packers. Russell Wilson goes back to Seattle because they fire Pete Carroll. And maybe Gardner Minshew's the only quarterback that moves. I don't know. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater could be in there. I'm excited for the offseason because quarterbacks equal views.
It's going to be wild. Steve asked a good question before while we were talking about injuries and stuff, about if we would let our kids play football, like knowing all about CTE and things. That was a good question.
No, I've thought about this because I loved playing football as a kid. And concussion's a big reason I stopped playing. I wouldn't let him play tackle football until like, and I don't have a son. I just got a daughter. I don't think she's going to want to play football, but you never know. I would wait until like I'd probably talk to a doctor, but like 16 or 17, if that's something they really wanted to do and wanted to try and pursue. But I would try to hold off because I don't like concussions. I think the long-lasting effects of them are real
You
and
heard it
serious.
here. You heard it here first.
I take a
folks.
firm stance. I
Concussions
do
are
not
bad.
like concussions.
I do not like them.
I realize how
Sam,
stupid that sounded.
I
I
am. Yeah, I know. I have a similar mindset that it's like, when they're like little, middle school, stuff like that. No. Once they start getting to high school and if they really want to play, then that's something that we discuss and there
But
you go.
even a lot of concussions happen in soccer too. So it's
Oh, I know. I'm pretty sure I gave someone a concussion once. Good.
Wow.
All right. Story time real quick. I was goalie and the reason why I was a goalie because I was like tall and lanky and I'll take alert. But it's because I could kick the ball really far. So like I could punt it really far. So so what wound up happening was there was a player in front of me, like they kicked it, I blocked it, and I had it in my hands, and I went to go kick it, and they turned around and they started walking really slow and like away from the goal. I'm like, I gotta get this ball out of here. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna kick it really hard and arc it over them. Well, I kicked it and it didn't arc and it hit them in the back of the head and they dropped. And like me, I was young and I was like, crap. And I just dropped right to a knee and I was like, ugh. So
yeah,
I tried and it did not work. So
that's hilarious. I mean, not for the concussion because I already stated I don't like them.
They were okay, but they got taken out of the game. So
my time for soccer. See, I chose football over soccer, and I think I was better at soccer, and my body was more suited to play soccer. And then I really wished I would have played soccer because in high school, our soccer team won the state championship.
Nice.
And I was like, man, that would have been an avenue. But I remember like third or fourth grade, maybe it was like fourth grade. And my friend and I, based on no like evidence, thought that, or maybe it was like, okay, now in soccer, you can kind of hit people. Like you can check them. And I remember in a game, I just fucking lit this kid up. Like I just hit him like I was playing football, and I got the yellow card. And I was like, I thought we could do that. And my friend's dad was the coach, and he played pro hockey, so I don't think he cared. He was like, yeah, good hit type of thing. And then I remember later that night, my mom was like, did you apologize to that kid? And I was like, no. And then I got this big lecture about like sportsmanship and not apologizing. And it's literally like one of my only memories from soccer, just feeling so guilty. I hit this poor kid who obviously had no clue that I was going to be like physical. And like he was not a good player on their team. Like he had, like I hit him, his glasses flew off, and I was just like, I felt bad.
Oh no, he was one of those kids. Like was it like the athletic goggles that he was like
yeah, it was like
with?
And like I was trying to make a play for like the ball. It wasn't like I went out and just hit him. I was just like, oh, we can check people now to get to the ball. And I felt really bad.
This poor kid's like his first game. He's like, Mom, watch me get the ball.
Yeah. I'm sure like
getting shown on Sports Center, like, getting lit up.
That little tiny fast kid just did that. Get him out of here. Get him off the field.
Damn.
But
all right. So Brandon Perna, soccer god. That's it. You know
we
what
should
else?
Start doing a soccer channel, Tom.
Ooh. Okay. Listen, you and I want to stream World Cup games. I am not even joking. I'm all about it, but I think it's during the football season, the next one, because it's later in the year because it's in Qatar. So that's going to screw me up because I like to watch every single game. So that's going to suck. But yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Athletic goggles for the win. I know a lot of kids have athletic goggles.
Adam, man, sorry to hear that.
Oh, damn.
That's terrible. Glad you're taking care of your mom. When is the best time to go to Denver for a game? Ooh. I mean, are you going this season? Like the regular season? anytime, I mean, now, like the winners, it's dicey.
September, I would feel like.
Weather's been very warm here, so there's a chance, it could be 50 or 60 degrees at a game, and the Broncos could be playing for a playoff spot. Personally, I like September, October for games, but I think since the Broncos are competitive, if they win this weekend, any game you can get to is going to be a great atmosphere, a great experience, and
it's going to be cold.
It's going to be could be cold. Could be 60 degrees. I don't know. Weather's crazy right here.
It's 55 yesterday and today. By the way, only 2 players in NFL history have 4,000-yard passing seasons in 4 of their first 5 years.
Wow.
Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes.
Wow. Yeah, and Herbert passed Dan Marino last night for most touchdown passes, I think, through his first 2 seasons or something. Or touchdown and rushing touchdowns. Most touchdowns scored.
Well, what's weird is, too, they have the same amount of Super Bowl rings.
0.
Sorry, Dolphins fans. I'm sorry. I read a Dolphins fan just logged on. He's like, oh, man, let's turn into GPS. Why? Oh, man. Yep. McCorkle. Gotta love McCorkle. $230,000 check. Well, listen.
He's kind of
worth it. You want to get paid like McCorkle Jones, you can check out DraftKings Sportsbook.
Oh, can they?
Can they?
Man, I tried to win $2,000 last week on my complicated QB parlays, prop bets, if you will. I did not. It was a weird week in the NFL. I'm going to look into that again. I really love doing the quarterback prop bets, taking the over-unders on passing yards. I like passing yards for QBs. I think it's a little bit easier to decipher, but that's only because I won twice. Last week I was way off. So,
Have you tried doing it on just pirate teams, the parlay? Like, would that give it an extra oomph? Like,
that would be fun. That would be a fun segment.
Raiders.
I saw somebody on Twitter divide up all the NFL teams by division based on grouping their mascots. So it'd be like, there's like horse themed teams. So you had like
cats,
cat themed teams.
Cats. Your cats.
You got 2 pirate teams. Fictional or mystical characters. There's like people. There's like all these things. But it'd be fun to do your bets based on that, is what I'm saying. And if you're going to do it with DraftKings, code GPS, link in the description. DraftKings supports our show. So if you want to support our show as well, and you want to do sports betting, you don't have to do it. Do it at DraftKings, code GPS. They're going to take care of you. First time deposit, they're going to match it up to $1,000. And this week, bet on any team to score. And they will give you could win $100 in free bets if that team scores.
Can you?
Yeah, you can.
What accent are we going for? I don't. You're like Da?
That is Oliver Twist.
We're going Charles Dickens. I thought it was a very high pitched German man. Maybe could have been Russian.
We're going to score for you. I scored with the big draft king.
Now you're sounding like you're an Austin Powers character, and I'm just trying
I want you in my belly, draft king.
V, can you try and help us out with our transitions here?
I'm going to do an audition for SNL, and it's going to only be impressions, and I'm very, very bad at them. We should just, every week, our failed SNL audition tapes here on GPS.
I could just show you all of mine.
Actually, SNL should give us they have the weekend update. Yeah. They should give us the weekend sports update that they cut every week for time.
Yes. Okay. People think we're Swedish.
Swedish? Oh, Swedish? You want the Swedish shashishi. That is Swedish for love. I'm actually, I think, a quarter Swedish.
So you could do that. It's okay.
Yeah. I can be offensive as long as I have some of that blood in me.
That's accurate. That's why I make fun of the Vikings, because technically I'm part Scandinavian.
Yeah,
True story. I try to cut it out of you.
Yeah. I'm part everything white. Anything white I can make fun of.
If you see the complex skin tone that's here, it's a little mix of eggshell and translucency.
I was
Casper
gonna
is my
say-
great uncle.
I was going to say, you can actually get a sunburn even if Tom Grossi's standing in front of you.
That's accurate. That is
The
100%
sun goes
accurate.
right through him.
I looked at an HD picture of the sun once and got sunburned. So yeah, it's a thing.
You can't watch Discovery Channel documentaries about the Sahara Desert.
No.
Because he gets
Oh,
sunburned.
that's true. Bad. That's a great point. All right, buddy, real quick before we get into the Week 15 previews. So last night I was streaming, and there was a guy who went live like 10 minutes into halftime, and he's from Australia. So it was the morning there, right? He was an Aussie Steelers fan. And so we rated him. It took him a little while to notice because he was just reading out statistics. There wasn't anybody watching. And of course, we flooded that thing. And then he shouted out GPS, and then he said, Brandon Perna, that guy's a legend.
Oh,
so there you go.
Wow.
There you go. You got fans from the down under, buddy.
Let me just say, I love me the Australians.
What in God's name was that?
Oh, I love the Australian Aussies, mate. Oh, take me to Australia. Nailed it. Hi, I am Australian. Look at me, mister. I'm just a wee little Australian boy. I survived in the outback. I lived in that giant rock for such a long time. Now, I shall go to the Sydney Opera House. Nailed it again. Boom. Oh, yeah. Holly Hundo, do not be offended by my Kansas City Chiefs impression now that you've heard the rest. Now that you've heard the rest, Holly. No, I meant no harm. No, I meant no harm.
Oh, my God. Okay.
The joke's on me, everybody. I can't do impressions. We all know. But if I had to get down to Australia, I could live there. You know who I collabed with back in the day? Who's Australian, Tom?
No.
Laser Beam. Old Laser Beam. No, I think I have more fans in Australia. I think I have more.
You might. They might be out of pity, but
a jellyfish bit my butt again at the Great Barrier Reef. I'm Australian.
So tomorrow's there's football games tomorrow.
Oh yeah, we do talk about football here.
Well, there's like 1.5 football games tomorrow because the Raiders Browns. This is not updated numbers. This is just from yesterday because Washington has even more people on the COVID's list. But right now, the Rams, 25 players on the reserve COVID list. Yesterday, Washington was at 21. They might be up to 22 now. Browns were at 20. Bears were at 12. Texans at 8. Dolphins and Vikings both at 6. And I just want to say that the Green Bay Packers are the only team in the North that are not doing things virtually right now. Because we only have one COVID case. Kenny Clark is going to be out because of COVID, which sucks. But yeah, just saying. Knock on wood.
Yeah, it's weird. Like a lot of these positive COVID cases are guys who are vaccinated or asymptomatic. So I think the NFL is trying to figure out how they do this moving forward because I'm not sure this makes sense. Yeah, so somebody else said that too.
Yeah, that game should Baker Mayfield going on. Baker
100%.
Mayfield just going on and on Twitter and kind of ripping the NFL. I mean, like, he's not wrong.
No,
like that's the thing. He's not wrong because he's basically saying like these protocols are like just made up out of thin air. Like, and this has been criticized before. Aaron Rodgers has criticized them. You know, Kurt Benkert is, because he's on my show, talking about like how sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like, even if you are vaccinated, like you get tested, you still go in the building. And then if your test comes back positive, they're like, oh, let's pull you out now. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Donkey did them all. Well, that's the thing. This is what the NFL hates to. Well, it does hate to evolve. I'll tell you that. Yeah. But this is a situation that nobody has the answers to because we've never been through this before. And I don't even just mean as the NFL, but as a society. And it's like, as new information comes along, as things progress, you have to adjust. And the NFL, it's complicated. I know why the NFL wants to set up rules to make sure they have like a blueprint on what to do. But it's like they're in a situation now that I don't think they thought could happen this year. And now they're reeling in terms of how they figure out how to deal with it. And I just think as a sports league, make a lot of money, you got a lot of resources. You got to figure out how to adapt and adjust and do it in a way that keeps everybody safe. And I think that's what's getting like weird here. It's like, I think the NFL's doing things just because they don't want to readjust and they're thinking about it right now. But the fact that they don't seem to be even willing to reschedule this football game is a sign on how stubborn they are, even when they're trying to change something.
I feel like this is you're on a family vacation in your Toyota Sienna and the back left wheel is blown out and you are just riding on the rim and you're like, Dad, I think there's something wrong with the tire. And they're like, just watch your movie. You gotta get there. That's the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to stop. All right, they're not stopping for gas. I'm sorry, they're only stopping for gas. They're not stopping for any food, anything like that, and they ain't changing the tire. So even if your sparks are flying, they're going to keep this thing going because they got a deadline to meet, all right? So, yeah. Yeah, I know. And that's the thing, too. Like, a lot of people are getting it from outside of, the NFL. And, like, that was a conversation last season. It was a conversation at the beginning of this season of just, like, where you're able to go and where you're not able to go. And, like, honestly, it's gotten to the point because things are spiking everywhere that it's like, hey, anytime you go out, like, it's a risk. And it's just, it's bad. So.
Perna haircut looking good?
You didn't get a haircut?
I didn't get no haircut.
No.
What are you talking about?
That thing is rocking.
I need a haircut so bad. Well, yeah, and we've never tracked something like this publicly. You know what I mean?
I get you.
It's hard because there's a certain amount of people that this affects in a really bad way. And there's a big chunk of people that it affects in a mild to, I don't know, like a cold, a flu, like bad. And there's some people that it doesn't affect at all. And we're still tracking it and we're tracking the people that it doesn't affect. So it's like this player tested positive for COVID. We don't even know the context of what that means on a player-to-player basis. We kind of know when it's like a key guy like Baker Mayfield or whatever. Like, yeah, they're not experiencing symptoms, and so it's like, well, why can't these guys play then? It's complicated, and I don't think I have the answers for it. I don't think you think you have the answers for it. But I think we all just kind of agree like the NFL could probably be doing a better job at handling it. I mean, you could boil that down to anything you get upset about with the NFL. They could do better. They could do better.
They can. And I mean, that's the thing. Like AJ Dillon got it last year and he was out for like over a month. Like it wrecked him. So it's subjective.
The Vikings lineman or defensive lineman was in the hospital because of it this year.
Yeah.
Like it's still real. It still can be very dangerous. But I think it's just it's becoming such just like a regular part of our lives now. Maybe you get a little desensitized to it. I don't know. It's until it like slams home and affects you personally again. You don't think you have to take it seriously.
Isn't that everything, buddy? Isn't that everything?
Yeah. I mean,
I think they need to flex this game tomorrow, though. Like I understand. Like I think we talked about this a little bit on Clickbait yesterday, but like come playoffs, I know it's a big moneymaker. I don't know if you have fans. If things continue the way they are, I don't know. Because was it hockey that just pulled fans? I think Tree tweeted about something.
Yeah, it was the NHL.
I play D&D, and D&D is awesome.
Whoa. I won't even talk about the D&Ds I play with. Donalds and Ducks, you sick-minded
I'm sorry.
people.
I'm sorry. Wait, you're playing with Donald Duck?
Shh. Yeah, that might be weirder. That might be weirder.
That might be worse, buddy. Yeah, I saw that Lamar not at practice. Yeah, we're gonna deal with Huntley, and we don't have Kenny Clark, so that's something. But
Yeah.
I think tomorrow, like, what purpose does playing the game tomorrow serve? You're gonna have fans there, and I understand, like, that's the big thing, right? It's fans, like, you have to give them their money back and things like that. But as Baker said, like, if you care about player safety, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's difficult because, especially when it's not a player's fault. Like, it's not like they went out and partied, or like they went out and like it was someone on the staff or something like that. Like that sucks, because then you essentially like could have cost yourself a playoff spot and you had no like say in it. Like, you did nothing. And I think that that's what the problem is too, is like what unfortunately this has done is you are affecting other people's health, like with your decision. And I'm not getting into like a pro vaccine. I'm not getting into that conversation, but I'm just saying that, like, for this one very specific scenario, it sucks because, you know, you are unfortunately like the victim and have to suffer the consequences of somebody else's actions. So yeah, I would do clickbait D&D right now. Right now.
Interesting. I'd be willing to learn how to play.
It is a lot of fun. Like, I always thought, I was like, wow, like, I'm nerdy, but like I wouldn't go that far. I played it and I was like, this is amazing. I love it so much. You love improv? Dude, improv. You'd be so, oh my God. We'd have fun.
Well,
we're doing this in the off season. Done.
Starting March, check out the Grossi Perna D&D YouTube channel.
Make it May, like after the draft. Like
May, I mean, yeah. What was I thinking? March. Free agency? Idiot.
That's it.
Retro Bowl.
All right. So, yeah, if the Raiders don't win, raffles everywhere. The night game, though, is what I'm really interested in. Patriots Colts, my friend.
It's going to be a good one.
Woo!
Tom raising some money during that stream for a good cause.
Oh, yeah. We're doing an 8-hour stream, baby. 4 o'clock Eastern to midnight.
Wow. Wow.
Wah.
What's the over under on the P's for the D's in that stream?
I mean, so here's the issue. I've booked a guest and/or guests every 30 minutes, and that's been for like from like 4 o'clock to about 8. Ooh. So I don't know how many P's for D's I could do.
You got to do the Scott Hansen approach. Dehydrate yourself before the stream. Make sure you're.
That's it. That's how I get my 6-pack too. Yeah. That's what Henry Cavill did when he had to shoot that Witcher scene in the bathtub. So if Henry Cavill could do it, I can, because we basically have the same physique.
Oh,
so
totally.
Patriots Colts.
Totally. As somebody who's never seen your naked body, I agree.
What's your favorite class? I really thought you meant in school. I was like, what?
Of Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, that's what I figured it was going with. All right, we going 5th edition here. Like, what are we doing? I mean, druids are fun. Rangers are always, you know, those are like the usual. But like, you know, you can never go along with a rogue like you're playing Skyrim. Sorry, we're talking about things, and we're not even the last 10 minutes of the show. Actually, we are. Wow, we have a lot of games to get through. What's going to happen in Patriots Colts, Perna? Spit it out.
Upset. Well, the Patriots are actually the underdogs.
Are they really?
The Colts are going to win. Yeah.
I do too.
I think the Colts need the win more, and I think the Patriots are very, very good. I just feel like the Colts are going to win it. Unexplainable. Jonathan Taylor going to have a game. Going to have a game.
I just think what I said was that the Colts are capable of bigger plays than the Patriots.
That's fair.
That's what I said. Fair. But Carson Wentz also could shuffle pass it to a defender. So
yes, Wentz is the X factor.
It's give and take there. It's
both teams coming off a bye too, right? So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, a late bye. So that'll be a fun game. You got a big game against another orange team, otherwise known as Kitty Goes Meow, as you have the Broncos and Bengals.
Oh yeah,
it's a big game for you. Big game.
Very big game. I think the Broncos are going to get a win. I think they have the recipe to win, which is run the hell out of the ball.
Mhm.
Minimum 30 carries for Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams,
All the
both on
carries.
pace for 1,000-yard season right now. Could become just the 8th duo to do it. Bengals, they're similar because when Joe Mixon has close to 30 carries, they are hard to beat. But he's been slowed down 2 weeks in a row. Jamar Chase leads the league in drop passes. So I'm hoping for a couple drop passes. I'm concerned about the Bengals pass rush because that's been excellent the past couple weeks, even in their losses. I think at least 4 sack games, I believe. Brain could be wrong. So it's going to be close. But right now, I think the Broncos know they run the ball first, and then their defense is good enough to keep teams from scoring a lot. And come Monday morning, I'll be way too excited about my team's playoff chances. Way too excited.
I just love like the curve that has happened with Brandon Perna and the Denver Broncos. It's like we're starting off. Oh my God, we're a man.
It's the definition of a roller coaster season. The highs have been high and the lows have been low, and there hasn't been a lot of in between.
Yeah,
and the Bengals are dangerous. Like, I'm worried about it. They nearly came back and beat the Chargers. They lost an OT to the 49ers because, like the Chargers last night, they forgot how to cover George Kittle. So could be a game for the Broncos tight ends too.
Yeah. That'd be a lot
Titans
of fun.
Steelers, what you got there, Tom?
I had the Titans winning, but I just said this is a weird game because the
weird.
Titans are not full strength. The Steelers are the Steelers. I honestly this is a complete flip of the coin. Like, I have no idea. I said Titans win, but I don't know. It's all if the Titans defense can actually show up. But they might show up for 3 quarters, and then the Steelers are like, oh, we have to play? Fine. And then play at the end. So.
Yeah. It feels like a game that the Titans should win, that the Steelers are going to win.
That's valid. That is valid. 100%.
And then you've got a big game, Packers-Ravens. Lamar out? Have they decided
he's not practicing, so it looks like he is going to be out. So Taylor Huntley, listen, still a mobile QB, shown that he can win football games or come close to winning football games too. I think it's still going to be a problem. Kenny Clark, our leading defensive tackle, is going to be out for that game, so that's no good, as they're going to probably run the ball.
It's not a Packers game, at least if one of your top players isn't suddenly expected to not play.
100%. That is 100% accurate. And Kenny Clark also was hanging out with MVS this past Monday on a show, so hopefully he is good. Yeah, hopefully that's okay. But yeah, I think the Packers should be able to win this, but I think it's going to be a close game. I think even with Huntley, I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, Tyler Huntley looked good last week. I think Greg Roman designs the offense to really benefit the quarterback's strengths. So it will be interesting. But the Packers defense better than what Tyler Huntley faced last week in the Browns. And don't get me wrong, the Browns can get after the QB. The Browns defense should be better, but it just hasn't been consistently. When does Jair come back? Is that still just like a if?
I mean, like every week it seems like he's closer. Like there was a rumor that he was going to be able to be back for Sunday. I think they're just, I think you might see him next week, or at least they'll activate him next week and then, just keep him on the roster. But I think he's getting closer because he's starting to practice more and more. So I'm telling you, buddy, we get those 3 guys back.
So close.
I'm rock and rolling.
And then,
but they have the number 1 run defense. I didn't know that. Ravens. So
yeah, I guess so.
Cool. Dillon and Jones might struggle a little bit, and they have a great special teams, and we have garbage. So I hope that at least we're taking notes on how to play special teams. So.
Yeah, where's their rushing stats? Give me that.
Give me that, baby. Let me free my soul. Is there a chance Benkert's on the 53? I think Love was back in practice, so Benkert wouldn't be there, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, Ravens, just 1,111 yards. Better than the Titans, Bucks, Bengals, and football team.
There you go. Right. And then finally, Sunday Night Football, Perna. You got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the kryptonite of the Buccaneers during the regular season.
Yes.
Did you still stick with the Saints to win?
I can't remember. Probably.
Do you remember
I
the 21st
probably
night of
said
September?
yeah. Well, and I think they can, because I said Buccaneers kind of struggle with mobile QBs.
Yep.
I think the Saints kind of know how they want to use Taysom Hill, even with his jacked up finger. Alvin Kamara's back. Maybe they'll have Kamara. Is Ingram back too? Let me
I
look.
do not know that one.
Melvin Ingram injury.
I think that they have definitely a good chance of winning because I think they just know how to play the Buccaneers. But
Mark Ingram, not Melvin. Good call.
yeah, I was about to say. I was like, wait a minute. I think that no, he's on the COVID list.
Oh,
Who isn't though?
good God.
Who isn't?
I mean, the Bucks are probably the Bucks will win, but I believe the Saints can. Let's put it that way. I believe the Saints can.
You know what? I got something else for you real quick, Brandon Perna.
Sure.
What if the Seahawks beat the Rams because 25 people are on the COVID list?
I mean, that's a real possibility now. I think the way they added like Von Miller and a handful of guys yesterday.
It's like everybody. It's like everybody.
25 is a lot.
That's a lot. Oh yeah, we were saving the best for last, Cameron.
Yep. Texans, Jags. Ooh, this is interesting because when coaches get fired,
yep,
there's win percentage of teams after the coaches get fired positive, and they're going against a bad Texans team who just got some decent play out of Davis Mills. I picked the Texans before the Urban Meyer firing. Now I kind of think the Jaguars are going to win. I think the Jags are going to show how much Urban Meyer was holding them back.
Yeah.
Big game for James Robinson. Big game.
Can you imagine he just rushes for like 150 yards and like 3 touchdowns?
Yeah. Assuming none of those guys are on the COVID list, because I don't know and I can't keep up.
Did you see the interim head coach yesterday get asked? Oh, no, he was told the press conference. He was saying, like, I think the reporter said, I have a feeling that you as an interim coach can have more wins than Urban Meyer as a head coach. And like, he's like stifling like a laughter. He's like, I'm not gonna say anything to that. And like the entire room is laughing. Like they're bashing Urban Meyer and like his body's not even cold. Like he's still like taking his stuff out of the locker room. So that was kind of amazing.
He was not liked there by anybody, apparently.
Seahawks got Shopa.
Oh, Seahawks, do it up. Yeah,
I kind of hope the Jaguars win. I actually hope they win out the rest of the year. Just because. Ooh. Getting him out of a top draft pick, but just because.
Chaos, baby. Chaos.
All right, baby, we did it. We made it through another week. We made it through another Friday episode. We made it through the Rain Bay Bay.
Rain Bay Bay, Rain Bay Bay. All the boys say Rain Bay Bay, Rain Bay Bay.
Dante, welcome.
Dante Scarnecchi.
Appreciate you. But folks, we appreciate you. Tomorrow, I will be live starting 4 p.m. Eastern until midnight. I got a litany of guests that are scheduled to appear. We're talking double-digit guests here. We got that every half hour. Going to be a new guest up until about game time of the Patriots-Colts game. Then we'll be streaming that game, but that'll still count as a fundraiser. 100% of the proceeds going towards the Sunshine Kids Foundation, providing free events and activities for children with cancer and their families in hospitals. So it's a great cause. It'll be a great stream. And a subscriber is going to get a PS5. So I'm going to get a random subscriber. You're going to get this PS5 right here. Right there. There you go. And we're going to be rocking and rolling. Kick-ass D&D. Listen. Let's go. Perna, you got anything coming out today, tomorrow?
No.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, no.
Streaming on Sunday.
I've got a USFL video I've shot. I have to edit it, but I don't think it'll be up till next week. So okay. We're getting there. I'll be streaming Broncos Bengals Sunday, and I'll be joining you.
Is that the 4:00 game?
2:00. It's 2:00.
Yeah, it's 4:00 game. All right, good. I'll send you a raid. I'll say hi to the chair. Maybe Jess will be there. Maybe Jess can come by. You're gonna say hi. Yeah.
She might swing by. That might just happen.
All
All right, guys.
Well, thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. This is the Grossi Perna Show. This has been GPS. And you've been navigated.
And Australia, you've reached your destination.
That was